sure, you can now apply to jobs in many places that you weren't able to. You're also facing potentially way tougher competition. I was in a conversation with someone today, and they were sort of going through a hiring process of their own. And what they said was, well, what I told the recruiter that they're working with is as long as someone has an internet connection, even if they're on the moon, they're a candidate for this. And so the reach that employers have in asking for each position has really widened as well. And that does mean that you're being considered alongside a whole lot more applicants. Not everyone can have a home office setup that is expensive, especially in the rent that you pay or the different furniture that you have to buy. And so there are lots of sort of access issues that you also need to consider in these kinds of conversations. This topic is a fascinating one because when you turn on the news or when you go into most university websites, right, you see all of these programs are exciting new technologies, data science, machine learning, AI, what have you. It might be surprising then for me to say that the most commonly asked for digital skill in Canada is none of that. It's Microsoft Excel. And once I say that, you may think, oh, that actually kind of makes sense. Is that, there are job posting that ask for those skills too, on the AI machine learning side. But as of right now, and probably for a while, it's going to stay quite specialized. And most jobs are not about creating digital technology. It's not about sort of creating new digital technology tools. Most jobs is about being able to use them. And that leads to the second point, and we see specifically with Excel, is that you can almost draw this nice sort of pathway in different occupations that would sometimes list, just Excel, and then a lot of sort of job postings listing both Excel and SQL. And to those who are not familiar, SQL is a querying language that has everything to do with creating and managing databases. And so it's just fancy Excel is how you would think about it. And then you also see a lot of job posting that doesn't list Excel, but that lists SQL and JavaScript, which is a programming language together. And so there's almost this nice progression that once you become familiar and very comfortable with Excel, which can be a very powerful tool for you to then apply the exact same kind of thinking, to use that base that you've already developed in learning other digital skills as well. And I had this sort of really amazing opportunity at the end of my third year, where Mike Peters, he's still there at VSC. He was teaching honest micro courses at UBC at the time, and he grabbed me and one of my best friends, Logan, at the end of the class and asked what we were doing for the summer. And it turns out that he was looking for RAs to work for him over the summer, and that was probably the summer that it really solidified for me that I wanted a career in research and econ. And from that point on, the question was, okay, how do I prepare myself best for grad school? And so I've ended up working with Mike Peters for another summer after that. And in my final year, from that point on, I actually planned out all of my courses and different math courses that I would need to take, such as in this case, specifically sort of linear algebra and real analysis. And also ended up taking a master's level micro in my last year. Not everyone needs to do all of those steps. Some of those are probably slightly overkill for what I was trying to reach to, but I did prepare myself and made sort of conscious decisions too, but not until I was in my third year that I started actually seriously planning for that. If you're weird like me and want to do, non-macro econ, the opportunities are there. They tend to be a tiny bit more specialized. And so the think tank ecosystem, for example, in Canada is much smaller compared to something like the States, and then very concentrated in some key cities, of which Toronto and Ottawa are two, both of which are in Ontario. And it is the kind of space where I know most other sort of like organizations that work on very similar topics. That said, there's sort of the kind of private sector consideration in my head. Economic consulting, I think, would be one that was asked. Again, there are a couple of players in Canada, but that landscape, for example, in the UK or the US is a lot bigger. And so there are also options to work for the government. Many federal departments and provincial departments hire for economists in policy evaluations, cost benefit analysis that has to do with very specific policy areas. And so those are sort of what the landscape is.